Princess Diana was one of the most famous and beloved women in the world. As the Princess of Wales, she became known not only for her royal title, but for her warmth, compassion, and the way she connected with ordinary people. She was often called the People's Princess because she seemed to understand the struggles of others and used her public platform to help those in need. Her kindness, elegance, and openness made her stand out from the rest of the royal family, and that is why so many people around the world loved her so deeply. On the night of August 31st, 1997, the world was shaken by one of the most shocking and heartbreaking events in modern history. Princess Diana died in a car crash in Paris. Her death sent waves of grief across the world, and left behind a legacy of sorrow, questions, and endless speculation. Diana was not just a member of the British royal family, she was one of the most recognizable and admired women on the planet. Her compassion, her elegance, and her ability to connect with ordinary people made her beloved by millions. She had become a symbol of kindness, vulnerability, and humanity in a world that often felt cold and distant. That is part of why her death was so devastating. It was not just the loss of a princess, it was the loss of someone people felt they truly knew. That evening in Paris, Diana was with Dodi Al-Fayed, the son of Egyptian businessman Mohammed Al-Fayed. The two had been spending time together in the city, and by late night they were trying to leave the Hotel Ritz without attracting attention. But outside the hotel, paparazzi had gathered. Cameras flashed. Reporters and photographers followed their every move. The pressure was intense, and the situation was chaotic. At around midnight, Diana, Dodi, their driver Henry Paul, and bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones got into a black Mercedes-Benz. Their goal was to escape the photographers and reach a private destination safely, but the attempt to get away quickly turned into a deadly race through the streets of Paris. The car entered the Pont de l'Alma tunnel at high speed. Inside the tunnel, the driver lost control. The Mercedes struck the tunnel wall and then collided violently with a concrete pillar. The crash was catastrophic. Henry Paul and Dodi Al-Fayed died almost immediately. Trevor Rees-Jones survived, though he was seriously injured. Princess Diana was still alive when emergency responders arrived at the scene, but she had suffered severe internal injuries. She was rushed to the hospital, where doctors fought to save her life. For hours, the world did not yet know the full extent of what had happened, but despite the efforts of the medical team, Diana's injuries were too severe. She died later that same night. The news spread rapidly and the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. In Britain and around the world, people mourned as if they had lost someone from their own family. Flowers were laid outside Kensington Palace. Crowds gathered in silence. Television stations interrupted their programming. The scale of the public grief was unlike anything many had ever seen. In the days that followed, the world began asking the same question over and over again. How could this have happened? The official investigations later concluded that the crash was a tragic accident. According to the findings, Henry Paul had alcohol in his system and was driving at excessive speed. The paparazzi pursuit also played a major role, creating panic and pressure that contributed to the dangerous situation. In addition, there were questions about seat belts, road conditions, and the split-second decisions made in the moments before the crash. The investigation did not find evidence of a planned assassination. Instead, it pointed to a chain of human errors and dangerous circumstances. A combination of speed, alcohol, stress, and chaos created the perfect conditions for disaster. Still, for many people, the official explanation never felt like enough. Diana's death was so sudden, so tragic, and so public that it naturally gave rise to suspicion. When a figure as famous and beloved as Diana dies in such a dramatic way, people begin to search for hidden motives and secret forces behind the event. One of the most persistent conspiracy theories is that the British royal family was somehow involved in her death. According to this theory, Diana had become too independent, too influential, or too difficult to control. Some believe that her relationship with Dodi Al-Fayed and the possibility that she might have been planning a future with him made her a threat to powerful people. Others suggest that the royal family wanted to prevent embarrassment or scandal. However, despite years of speculation, no credible evidence has ever supported these claims. Another theory focuses on the paparazzi. It is true that the photographers were aggressively chasing Diana's car, and their behavior was widely criticized. Some people believe that the paparazzi were not just reckless, but deliberately trying to force a crash. While their actions were certainly unethical and dangerous, official investigations did not find proof that they intentionally caused the fatal collision. There are also theories about sabotage. Some claim that the car had been tampered with, or that Henry Paul was part of a larger plot. Others believe that Diana's death was staged, or that key evidence was hidden. These ideas have circulated for years, especially in tabloids, documentaries, and online discussions. But again, none of them have been backed by solid evidence. Part of the reason these theories continue to survive is because Diana's life itself was surrounded by public fascination and controversy. Her marriage to Prince Charles had been deeply troubled. Her separation and divorce were followed closely by the media. She had spoken openly about loneliness, pressure, and the pain of living inside the royal system. To many, she seemed like a woman who had been trapped by the very institution she had married into. That image made her even more sympathetic to the public. People saw her not only as a princess, but as someone who had struggled, suffered, and tried to find her own path. Because of that, many found it difficult to accept that her death could have been the result of something as ordinary and cruel as a car crash. Diana's legacy, however, goes far beyond the circumstances of her death. She was deeply involved in humanitarian work. She supported causes related to AIDS awareness, landmine removal, homelessness, and children's welfare. She used her public platform to bring attention to people and issues that were often ignored. In many ways, she changed the role of a royal public figure by showing compassion in a very direct and personal way. That is why her death had such a powerful emotional impact. She was not distant. She was not untouchable. She felt real to people, and when she died, millions felt as though they had lost someone they had grown up with, someone who had been part of their lives for years. Even today, more than 2 decades later, Princess Diana remains one of the most talked about figures in modern history. Her life continues to be studied, remembered, and debated. Her death remains one of the most famous tragedies of the late 20th century, and the questions surrounding that night in Paris continue to fascinate people around the world. And that brings us to the end of the story of Princess Diana's tragic death. Questions and conspiracy theories still surround what happened in Paris that night, but one thing is certain: Princess Diana left a lasting impact on millions of people around the world. What do you think really happened? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss future documentaries and mystery videos. And if you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check out my previous video about the events of 9/11, where we explore what happened on September 11th and some of the theories that continue to spark debate to this day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.